Oliver. Did all of you hear Oliver's wonderful question? Could you hear it over there? What a great question. Basically, what happens to people who've never heard of the gospel and they die? What happens to them? Is that kind of the short version? He's in Africa, he's never heard the gospel, and he dies. Where does his soul go? What I would say, and when I was a young pastor, I got a call from the local college, and they said, we have gatherings of students at 11 o'clock at night, and they just sit around in this room, and they invite local clergy to come and answer questions. You want to come? And I said, I'd love to come. And that's the first time I heard that question. And that was like 30 years ago. And almost every time I have college groups, that or a form of it question comes up. And so I always answer the same way. The first way is in Psalm 19. And it says in Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. It's one of the only verses in the Bible I've memorized in Hebrew. Hashemayim misaprim kavod el, we-la-la, le-la-la. Okay, so I just quoted the first verse. What it says is, the heavens are constantly pouring forth the glory of God. Now keep reading. It says, day unto day, verse 2, they utter speech. Night unto night it reveals knowledge. Look at verse 3, Oliver. There is no speech like your friend in Africa you just talked about, or like a Native American who migrated here from Asia over the land bridge after the flood, or some of the Minoans that sailed all over the world, 4,000 years ago. There is no speech nor language where the voice of God through creation is not heard. Their line has gone throughout all the earth, their words to the ends of the earth. You couldn't find more ways for David to say under the inspiration of God that the creative voice of God is hearable in every language of the world. You understand that? So what God says, number one, to Oliver and to all of us, that young man who died in Africa, before he died, saw that there is a creation beyond anything that is humanly possible, and he began to have God knock at his heart's door saying, are you interested in meeting the Creator? Okay, so what happens? Okay, now, the second place I take him is Romans chapter 1. And Romans chapter 1, basically Paul says the same thing. In Romans chapter 1, and we're talking about what about people that have never heard the gospel, have never read the Bible, have never been near a Christian. God knows all things. God is everywhere present. He is the one that grants life. There's never been a child conceived on this planet that God was not involved. You understand, life comes from God. There are no unknown people. There is no person he hasn't known. Intimately, he designed every person, if you believe the Bible. And by the way, I've taught this whole course that I utterly believe the Bible, exactly what it says is true. And so and you do too. That's why you're in a school like this. There are a lot of Christian schools that don't believe the Bible, and you could go to them, but you came here. But look at what this says in Romans 1:18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men. So Oliver's friend, he talked about this person we're talking about in Africa, was born a sinner, and God knows that. Verse 18 says, but every human suppresses the truth in unrighteousness. Do you know why people go to hell? Because they won't listen to the voice of creation or this other voice. Look at this. Verse 19, because what may be known about God is manifest in them. There's not just creation where God is saying, you want to know who made that? There's something else. What is this talking about? This is conscience. Do you know what your conscience is? It's God's ally that's inside of you. It says it. What may be known about God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. And then he goes through and talks about the creation of the world. That's the revelation of that, and on and on. So what I would answer, because we're running out of time, is that every person that's ever been born, whether in Africa or here in America or in India or wherever they are, or 3,000 years ago in America, has been born with two candles. You come out of the womb with two candles. You've got creation, and God himself has told us in his word he is speaking to every human that's born. You say, what about people that are terribly disabled or babies and they die? Great question. I wish someone would ask me that, because the Bible answers that too. And most likely, you will meet them, all these aborted children, in heaven. But that's a whole different question. Nobody asked me, too bad. But they have two candles. And the first one's creation. And you know what people do? They go, I can't believe it. In science class, they told me there's no creator. And sadly, they go, and they blow out the creation candle. But there's still one left. See, God is really interested that all people know him, and he's not willing that any should perish. So they've got the other candle. And what's the other candle? The other candle, I forgot, Brandon, I got to pray. So I've got to finish this and pray. The other candle is your conscience. And what do people do with conscience? That's what the rest of Romans 1 is about. They destroy it. They destroy it by their sin. Every time we do something wrong, when we're little, we go, I shouldn't be doing that, I shouldn't be doing that, I'm lying, I'm stealing, I'm proud, I'm jealous, I'm impatient, I'm whatever. And inside everyone has that. Did you know everyone is born with that? Every Native American and Aborigine and every civilized person has the same candle from God of conscience. And what we do is we go, no. Blow that one out. That's what Romans 1 is about. God says, you're without excuse. I was standing an arm's length from every one of you, and I gave you two candles, and your candle was just bright enough that you could see me. And you went, I don't want to see you. So what's the missions conference about? How the Lord's going to stir your heart. So you're going to say, I'm going to go wherever you want to go, and I know if you want me to go there, you'll make it possible to go there.